Hey, Karoo and Mom and Dad. Sarah and I are out for a morning run again today. It is Sunday. What's the date, Sarah?
Could be the 9th? 8th? 9th?
8th. I don't know. It's sometime in March. We have had super busy days. So, as I can't even remember what I said in the last video. So Howell is here with his crew of people who are making a documentary about King Arthur and his Welsh roots. And so they've been here since Wednesday.
Yeah.
And it's been go, go, go. So it's Howell. I think I mentioned in the last video, Dan, who I think Karoo directed you in a play at some point, and then Blake, who's a videographer. And then day before yesterday, Dan's wife and son also showed up. So over the last 3 days, Sarah went to Bangor University with them to shoot footage of academics talking about Arthur. And then the day before yesterday, we met with a guy named Scott who works in the National Library of Wales doing historical research on place names, and did a book about Arthurian place names. And we spent the whole day with him. Really interesting guy, super fun to talk to. Yeah, so Scott, we shot footage of him at Dinas Emrys, and then here in Carnarvon. And like I said, he's a really interesting guy. He's not a traditional academic, but clearly heavily involved in the research and academic side of all this stuff. Actually, he does a ton of mapping work. So I ended up talking with him a lot about that. And he gave me links to all this cool historical data that they've just published in the last couple of years online that I didn't know about. In addition, he and Sarah had a lot of really extended conversations about, things that she knew about, things that he knew about, and she learned a bunch of stuff from him. In addition, like, he didn't know a lot of things that she was talking about. So it was really very positive set of conversations and super fun. So let's see, that was Friday, right?
Yeah.
So yesterday, we were going to go shoot footage of Sarah talking about how King Edward used the Arthurian legends in places around Carnarvon. And so we went down to Llyn Cwm Dillyn, which was Edward believed was where the Lady of the Lake gave Excalibur to Arthur. Although the Welsh called him Cadvolch. Caledvolch. So, see, I'm no good at this. And we were shooting down there, and it's a really kind of remote location down an extremely narrow road. And when Howell was driving out, he clipped a rock and ripped the sidewall of the tire on his rental car. And of course, there's no spare tire in the rental car. So with no spare tire in the rental car, it took us probably half an hour, 40 minutes to get roadside support lined up But basically, they said it was going to be up to 3.5 hour wait.
Yeah.
And since Howell, it was his car, he had to stay with it. And we only had room for 5 people in our car, and there were a total of 7 of us. So Dan and Howell stayed with the rental car while Blake, Aaron, Teresa, Sarah, and I went down to Nevin to get the shots of Sarah talking about the tournament, the King Arthurian tournament that Edward held in Nevin, because the field down there still exists. It's called Edward's Field, and it's described historically as a field in the shape of a heron. Herring, not heron. Sorry. And so Blake, who's the cinematographer, went down there with us, and we took, he interviewed Sarah in the field. I took drone shots of the field so you could see its herring-like shape. And then we, actually, it's funny because just as we were finishing up, a truck drove into the field, clearly kind of like, they're like, what are you guys doing out there? And it was this young, probably the son of the farmer, who was probably 15 or 16 years old. And he was just checking in to see what we were up to. And he said that they have sheep that are lambing. He wanted to make sure that we weren't doing anything that was going to disrupt that. He was very nice. Anyway, then we eventually came back and made it back and had fish and chips for dinner. And
Well, that's really bad, yeah.
yeah, so yeah, it was a long day. There were other little adventures, but I think Howell and Dan didn't make it back to Carnarvon until what?
After 7.
After 7 o'clock. So it was a long, adventurous day, but really fun. And it's actually, Sarah was really excited because Sarah had access to a whole bunch of information that she hadn't had previously, which, helps her understand why certain things happened. And, it doesn't change anything fundamentally, but it fleshes out the picture, which is really cool. Plus, I gotta say that Dan and Blake and Howell are all just super nice people. They're just kind, and it's fun to hang out with people like that. And Dan is super organized. Actually, Blake is meticulous, so it's fun watching him do cinematography compared to what I do. I learned a lot watching him, actually. And Dan is actually helping write the script for this documentary. So basically holding Howell on point on the story, so he doesn't just, you know how Howell is, he's shooting all different directions all at the same time. But the nice thing is, like, all these guys are they're just all nice, and they're good-hearted. And so, not a lot of egos, and fun to hang out with them and be involved in the process. Anyway, so yeah, it's been 4 days of that. I've been shooting pictures and videos, and we just haven't had time to do anything with them. So I'll try to cut them in over this narrative and upload this video at some point today so that you'll have it tomorrow morning. That is my story, and I'm sticking to it. Hope you have a good one.